Hello, friends. Welcome to Studybus. So today we are having a very special guest, Ruth Pratap Singh, who has scored 99.66 percentile in his first attempt. इनका पहला अटेम्प्ट है, 12th का स्कोर इनका इतना अच्छा नहीं है एंड ऑनगोइंग इनका ग्रेजुएशन चल रहा है. तो किस तरह से अलॉन्ग विद ग्रेजुएशन इन्होंने अपना पूरा का पूरा कैट प्रिपरेशन किया, किस तरह से ये ड्रीम स्कोर अचीव किया एंड पूरी की पूरी क्या स्ट्रैटेजी रही, वो चीज हम समझने की कोशिश करेंगे इस वीडियो में. तो जितने भी वो कैट के एस्पिरेंट्स है जिनके माइंड में ये डाउट होता है सर फर्स्ट टाइम में तो हम कैट क्रैक कर ही नहीं सकते, या फिर हम फाइनल ईयर में हैं तो हम कॉलेज को मैनेज करें कि कैट प्रिपरेशन को मैनेज करें, तो मुझे लगता है ये वीडियो, ये पूरा का पूरा कॉन्वर्जेशन आप लोगों के लिए काफी ज्यादा हेल्पफुल रहने वाला है. सो माय नेम इज सौरभ कोठारी. वेलकम रूथ टू द कॉन्वर्जेशन.
Thank you, sir. I'm really happy to be here.
रूथ, फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन एंड दैट इज द मोस्ट ऑब्वियस क्वेश्चन टू एवरीवन कि जब आपने वो लॉगिन किया होगा कैट स्कोर कार्ड पे एंड आपने वो देखा होगा 99 परसेंटाइल, हाउ वाज दैट फीलिंग?
So, to be very honest, I did not even believe that it was my score. And I'm not just saying this for the sake of saying because I have also heard a lot of people say this very thing. But to be very honest, I just held the phone in my hand and I was just refreshing this link. Is this my score? Is this actually my score? Yeah, it was surreal, that feeling. I cannot even express in words how I was feeling that day.
I believe कि ये एक ऐसी फीलिंग है that if you experience it then only you can realize how it feels actually.
Indeed.
Ruth, this is very interesting, and because you have scored that dream percentile of 99.66, my first question is for the viewers to resonate better with this conversation. What is your profile? What is your 10th score? What is your 12th score? What are you doing in graduation? So please share a bit about yourself.
Yes, sir. So my 10th standard, I did my 10th standard from CBSE board and I scored 93%, 9.8 CGPA. So equivalent percent is 93%. And then in 12th standard, I scored 78.6%. And in my graduation, which is ongoing right now, I am I, I, I am at 74.6%, and it's my fourth year. So of engineering, yeah.
ग्रेट रुद्र. तो यार एक क्वेश्चन मुझे ये बताओ कि ये तो एक बहुत ही मेजर डाउट रहा होगा कि अलोंग विद योर ग्रेजुएशन आप पढ़ाई भी कर रहे हो, देन यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर कैट एज वेल. सो हाउ डिड यू मैनेज, लाइक वाज देयर एनी डिफिकल्टी टू मैनेज बोथ द थिंग्स और वाज इट अ सीमलेस प्रोसेस?
Yes, sir. Indeed, it was indeed pretty difficult. So I also had to keep up my grades in college because they are also counted in the final selection process, and I also had to score a good percentile, a decent enough percentile in CAT. So it was difficult, but in the end, I managed.
So that's a great thing. So रुद्र, अगर मैं आपके स्कोर कार्ड की बात करूँ, इंडिविजुअल स्कोर्स का मैं डिस्कशन करूँ सो दैट वी कैन डिस्कस इट वन बाय वन. In verbal, you scored 97.25 percentile. In LRDI, which is generally said to be the most difficult section of CAT exam, you scored 99.79 percentile. And with quants, you scored 98.15. तो मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन आपसे ये है कि बीइंग अ इंजीनियर एक प्री कंसीव नोशन होता है कि वर्बल तो अच्छा नहीं होगा, वर्बल में तो स्ट्रगल करेंगे. ठीक है, तो व्हाट वुड यू लाइक टू से, व्हाट वाज योर वर्बल स्ट्रेटजी फॉर दिस एग्जाम?
Actually, sir, surprisingly enough, verbal was my strength. Since the very beginning, verbal has always been with me, and I have been a reader, so verbal was my strength. And it was very surprising for me to look at my result, even because DILR was the section that I used to dread the most. Quants was something that I was very comfortable with, and I was expecting a 99 plus percentile, but I ended up with a 98. But yeah, so verbal was surprising for me that I scored 97.25, but I'm pretty happy with my overall result. So yeah.
तो आपने वर्बल की पूरी प्रिपरेशन कैसे की, मतलब इन द एंटायर कोर्स ऑफ जर्नी व्हाट वाज योर स्ट्रेटजी, किस तरह से आप आरसीज को अप्रोच कर रहे थे या नॉन आरसी क्वेश्चंस को देख रहे थे, तो उसके पीछे का पूरा प्रोसेस था?
So my approach for verbal was always exam oriented. From the very beginning, I was always focused on the D day. What is going to happen when I'll be sitting in front of the computer screen and what I'll be doing then. And I wanted to optimize each and every aspect of that day. Ki, what will I do then? So in verbal ability and reading comprehension, I knew that there will be a strong time crunch. So since the very first mock of mine, I always used to give myself only 35 minutes, mostly. But yeah, it was not able. I was mostly not able to complete the paper in 35 minutes. I inevitably used to take 5 minutes more and do it in the given time frame. But I always tried to complete my paper in the 35-minute time frame. So yeah, that is something that really helped me. And as far as my overall strategy goes, so for RCs, I was very much into reading, so it was not very difficult for me. But when it comes to verbal ability part, I have never been good with grammar, so that's why I had to prepare a bit for grammar and stuff. And yeah, that was my strategy for verbal ability.
So, Rudra, in that context, when you are saying that you are a reader, so what do you generally read? You are a book reader, or you generally read newspapers? So, what is your major reading content?
So when it comes to newspapers, I haven't really read many newspapers. I have mostly read novels, and that too not the historical, the typical novels that people associate novels with. I read. I even read right now. I read Russian novels. I read Russian literature. I'm very much interested in Dostoevsky's writings and Leo Tolstoy. And I have also read a lot about philosophy, Western philosophy, Thus Speaks Zarathustra, Friedrich Nietzsche. I have read about psychology, specifically the Jungian psychology, psychoanalysis. So these are the areas which I read about the most.
That is interesting because it is very rare and very difficult to find engineers who are good with mobile section in CAD particularly. But that is a very good inspiration, and all the engineers who are seeing these channels, I believe that they are going to draw a lot of inspiration from this because generally they are not avid readers. They are more into quant. They are strong with LRDI, and that is a very good, interesting insight from you that you are reading, I guess, for a very long time now, and that was your strength area, and you did not face any difficulty in verbal as a section, right? Great, Ruth.
Yeah, from the
So
very beginning, I was comfortable with verbal. I won't say that I did not face any difficulties because it was indeed a pretty difficult section when it comes to you are competing with all of India. So even if you are a local maxima, to be a global maxima, you have to be very, very acute with your abilities in each and every
that
section.
that is very interesting. So Rudra, moving towards the next section, which is the LRDA section, you said that एक ऐसा section था जिससे ज्यादा डर लगता था, and then you ended up scoring the most in that, right? So उस section को कैसे deal किया? How did you start with this section, and how did you end up scoring the maximum in this particular section?
Okay, so I started with this section. I did not have any preconceived strategy in my mind. Ki this is the way I'm going to approach studying for the LRDI section the entire year. But then I followed your channel and you give a lot of guidance, and you specifically about DILR, you told us a lot of things that we have to build our basics first. And I was the kind of a person who was very, very hurried in a sense. I did not wanted to study many basics. I never wanted to spend much time on basics. So that was one of my flaws, my personal flaws. But then I watched your video and a couple of other channels' videos, and they always told us ki you have to study the basic graphs and you have to build your basics. Even if they're not going to be asked in the real deal, but still they are going to be the building blocks upon which all the questions in CAD which will be inevitably be asked to you will be based upon. So that's why you need to have a strong foundation, and that's why I started with my basics. And yeah, I build upon my basics in that way.
And फिर एडवांस लेवल की जब आप प्रिपरेशन कर रहे थे तो उसके लिए आपने व्हाट रिसोर्स यू फॉलोड लाइक डिड यू प्रिपेयर प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर or you went more for the timer based test or what was your strategy for that? Because LRD is one section where there are two major challenges. Number one, how to pick the right sets, and number two, how to solve them in the limited time. So how did you
Hmm.
overcome these both problems?
Yes, so about timing, yeah, there is a serious time crunch, especially when you are in the real exam. There is going to be a very, very strict time crunch. So the way I went about it was I always used to give myself ample time to solve sets in the initial stages of my preparation. When I was transitioning to the more advanced sets, I always used to give myself a lot of time. And then eventually I started to impose time limits. First of all, I imposed a limit of 15 minutes per set, and then I gradually brought it down to like 13 minutes, and then gradually I further lowered the time frame and brought it down to 12 minutes, then 8 minutes. So in that way I build myself slowly, step by step to that level, so that I'll be able to I can get comfortable with the sets. And one advice that I would give to each and every person who is watching this video is that you have to first of all give 5 minutes to select the sets which you will be end up solving. Okay, so it is very important to first give yourself 5 minutes, and not more than that, not less than that, because this is the optimal time that I have found for myself. You have to give yourself 5 minutes and reach each and every set first, and then intuitively you'll get to know ki, okay, I'll be able to solve this one, and this one is not my cup of tea. So that's my strategy for LRDR.
So यहाँ पे जितने भी viewers, I believe there are two major key takeaways for all of you before we proceed further. Number one, when you talk about the verbal section, it is very very important that you read a lot, no matter whether you read novels or newspaper, but you have to read and read, because once you start reading, you actually become more accustomed to the type of passages which can come. You are becoming better with the comprehension skills, and that is what is required on the D day. When I talk about the LRDA section, again, remember this, that you cannot win the battle of LRDA without clearing up your basics. तो जैसे रुद्र ने आपको बताया कि यार आपको डे वन से, एंड दिस इज अ मेजर चैलेंज विच आई हैव सीन विद मोस्ट ऑफ द कैट एस्पिरेंट, कि उनको डे वन पे वो क्वेश्चन 10 मिनट्स में करना है, विच इज नॉट पॉसिबल. बिकॉज अगर आप वो 10 मिनट्स हरी में रहोगे ना, तो इवेंचुअली यू विल एंड अप not even clearing your basics, as well as you are not going anywhere. So first clear your basics, no matter even if you're spending 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes for that matter. बट जब आप वो पूरा पजल खुद से सॉल्व कर लोगे ना, वो जब गेम्स एंड टूर्नामेंट का पूरा आप चार्ट बना लोगे, जब वो एलआरडीए का पूरा केस स्टडी सॉल्व कर लोगे, यू विल गैदर दैट कॉन्फिडेंस कि नेक्स्ट टाइम जब आप सिमिलर क्वेश्चन करोगे, यू विल बी ऑटोमेटिकली सॉल्विंग दैट क्वेश्चन इन 5 मिनट्स माइनस टाइम, राइट. सो दिस इज व्हाट आई कैन बिलीव कि ये रुद्र को काफी ज्यादा हेल्प किया, कि इनिशियली उन्होंने कहा कि मुझे 15 मिनट्स लग रहे हो तो भी कोई चैलेंज नहीं है. Then slowly and gradually he narrowed it down to 12 minutes, then 8 minutes, and that is a very beautiful strategy. Moving further, Rudra, what is your take on quant section? I believe that being an engineer, quant probably would have been your strong area, but how did you approach, particularly for the CAT exam?
Yes, sir. So quants was initially my strength, and I believe it helped me a lot because of quants I was able to focus more on LRDI, which was my weaker section initially. So yes, about quants. So if you are weak in quants, first of all, then as Saurav sir said, you have to build your basics first. In quants also, this goes without saying. So how can you build your basics? For me personally, what I did was I gave a mock first, and then I realized, okay, these are the areas which are problematic for me, and these are my strengths. And once I was able to find those areas which were problematic for me, I built upon them. I practiced them. I practiced, and then eventually I was able to get better at those areas.
Great, Rudra. I believe that is a very going strategy for quants, कि आप basics build करो, then practice, and then eventually you are sorted. If I move to the next question, and this is probably the most difficult question and the question which is asked the most, कितने mocks करें, right? कि how many mocks we have to appear to crack this exam. And number two, आपके साथ भी बहुत बार ऐसा हुआ होगा कि mocks में कम स्कोर आ रहा है, कभी ज्यादा आ रहा है, there are ups, there are downs, कभी कोई अच्छा दिन नहीं जा रहा है. क्योंकि बहुत बार क्या देखा है ना मैंने रुद्र, कि a lot of CAT aspirants, because we are teaching now for a very long time, a lot of CAT aspirants give up after probably 2 or 5 mocks, at max 5 mocks, क्योंकि उसके बाद उनका ये फैक्टर आ जाता है कि हम मॉक्स के नंबर देखते हैं, बहुत कम आते हैं, एंड वी आर डीमोटिवेटेड, एंड नाउ वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू गो फर्दर. सो हाउ वाज योर मॉक स्ट्रेटजी? हाउ डिड यू प्लान योर मॉक्स? हाउ मेनी मॉक्स you appeared, and what was your overall conclusion towards the end?
Okay, so for me personally, I always had a mock centric approach. I started with a mock. The very beginning of my preparation was started with a mock to analyze what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and what are the areas in which, even though I'm good at, for example, in verbal ability, but still I was not able to score enough in that section, because the verbal ability that cat asks, it is very different to what you have read so far, because it is more of a logical reasoning section than a verbal ability section. So in that way, yeah, coming back to the mocks. Okay, so for mocks, it is ideal to give 45 mocks or 50 mocks, but I would suggest you that you give a mock every 2 weeks or every 1 week at least, because in that way you'll be able to first of all track your progress in real time, and then secondly, it'll build your temperament, your test taking temperament, which is very important for the D-day. On your D-day, you'll be operating on your instincts. You'll not be having any conscious thoughts. That time, for example, you'd be scared initially, but then when you'll get into your flow, there is not much going to be happening in your head. You won't be able to think much. So that time your instincts are going to reign over. They're going to take you over, and then you'll have to basically trust your instincts. And in order to build your instincts, you'll have to give a lot of mocks. So for me, I gave more than 60 or 70 mocks at least. I haven't counted them, but yeah, I gave at least 70 mocks.
That's huge, I believe. And this is a very important learning for all the cat aspirants that at least, I mean, this is what I recommend, that you have to appear for 20-25 mocks. And this is another thing which you can learn from Rudra here, that a lot of cat aspirants, probably a lot of who you are watching right now, you must be thinking that we will appear for mocks once the syllabus is over. एंड दिस इज नेवर गोइंग टू हैपन बिकॉज आपका सिलेबस कभी खत्म होगा नहीं, आप मॉक्स अपेयर करोगे नहीं. बट
Yes.
यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट मॉक्स एंड सिलेबस साथ साथ चलेंगे तभी आपका प्रिपरेशन स्ट्रांग होगा. एंड यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, दैट मॉक्स आर नॉट द रिजल्ट ऑफ योर प्रिपरेशन, दे आर द पार्ट ऑफ योर प्रिपरेशन. सो अंडरस्टैंड कि मॉक से आपकी जो लर्निंग है वो आपकी प्रैक्टिस में नहीं है, और जो प्रैक्टिस से लर्निंग हो रही है वो मॉक में आपको इंप्लीमेंट करनी है. देन ओनली यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि आपकी कहाँ स्ट्रैटेजी बन रही है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आप वर्बल कर रहे हो, जब आप 10, 20, 30 मॉक्स लिखोगे तभी आपको पता चलेगा यू हैव टू स्टार्ट विद आरसीज और नॉन आरसीज. जब आप
Hmm.
एलआर डीए इतने सारे सॉल्व करोगे, देन ओनली यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि मेरा डीआई स्ट्रांग है, मैं यहां से स्टार्ट करता हूं, देन आई विल मूव टू एलआर. देन ओनली यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि ये वाले क्वांट्स के क्वेश्चन में ऑप्शन से ज्यादा जल्दी सॉल्व कर सकता हूं, टीटा वाले क्वेश्चन में मेरा स्ट्रांग एरिया है. सो मॉक्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, और ये मिस्टेक काफी लोग करते हैं कि वो मॉक्स देते नहीं है फॉर वट एवर रीजन. चाहे आपको उससे डर लगता हो, चाहे आपको नहीं हो पा रहा है, आपको एक सेल्फ डाउट हो जाता है मॉक के स्कोर से. बट अंडरस्टैंड कि मॉक्स में कम स्कोर करना is far better than actual exam में कम स्कोर करना. and you can see and you can learn straight from the horse's mouth कि 70 mocks, right? 70 mocks मतलब हर 2 weeks में एक mock आप दे रहे हो. and when you start your preparation with a mock, you get into that mindset कि मैं इस एग्जाम की प्रिपरेशन कर रहा हूँ, अभी मेरा इतना स्कोर है और मुझे यहाँ पे पहुंचना है. so this is a very beautiful insight, I believe, Rudh. and I believe that a lot of cat aspirants now are going to write a lot of mocks, and this is going to add a lot of value to them. Rudra, coming to the next question, and probably because you said that you are following the channel for a long time, uh, what would you like to say about the study buzz? Like, how did we contribute in your journey, and what would you like to say to all the viewers who are watching the video right now?
Yes, sir. So I'd like to tell you about this because I was waiting to tell you about this actually because I started my CAT preparation. I started to think about CAT because of your videos. Anubhav sir and you posted videos on a lot of colleges, and those colleges actually fascinated me a lot. I saw MDI Gurgaon, I saw IIMs, a lot of IIMs, SPGen, and their placement packages absolutely baffled me. First of all, they were so high, anything beyond my expectations. So because of that, and plus you told me about the culture of those places. Plus you also gave us insights into what is actually being taught in those schools. What do you actually learn in MBAs? For example, you made a dedicated video on MBA specializations, which I probably watched over 50 times. Yeah, I'm exaggerating, but more like 10, 15 times. But yeah, I have watched it a lot of times. And current affair videos that you provide for absolutely free, and revision videos that they were actually my saving grace in the real cat exam. So yeah, study buzz education is like one of the most important resources for students out there. In fact, there have been a lot of people who have contacted me to know how they should go about their preparation in the for cat 23. So I always suggest them, look at the videos of study buzz education, look at the videos of even other channels which are providing similar content and providing really really good free content. So you can benefit off of the content that study buzz provides, and it is an immaculate collection of videos.
I'm really glad to hear such word, because probably I remember on our channel as of now there are more than 1700 videos. uh, we always try to build an ecosystem which can help all the MBA aspirants. And I always say that there is a wrong notion about MBA, that you go for MBA only for 30 plus lakh package or 25 lakh plus package. There is much more value which we are going to learn. So you build a thought process, you build your network, you get to learn so many things, you transform yourself in that 2 year of journey, which is going to stay with you forever. So that is another value I always wanted to create, that MBA is not just about a hefty package, but along with that you transform yourself in that whole journey. And I believe that
Exactly.
uh, these things are going to add a value. एंड ये रीजन है, मतलब हम लोगों ने इतने स्पेशलाइजेशन के ऊपर कॉलेज बाय कॉलेज वीडियोस बनाया, एंड रिवीजन वीडियोस डेफिनेटली वो हमेशा से ऑब्जेक्टिव रहा कि यार लोगों को हेल्प आउट करें एट द लास्ट मोमेंट, बिकॉज यू गेट कॉन्फिडेंट कि हाँ हमारा एक कंप्लीट रिवीजन हो गया, नाउ वी आर गुड टू गो फॉर द एग्जाम. सो थैंक यू सो मच रुद्र फॉर दोस काइंड वर्ड्स. मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन विच इज अगेन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन, कि जिस दिन आपका एग्जाम था, were there any butterflies exam then spell, and how did you approach the whole exam, like verbal section aaya, then LRDA quant, so what was your thought process in those 2 hours?
Okay, so in the last 4 months of my preparation, I was not actually able to prepare much. And in those last 4 months, I probably would have appeared for like 10 mocks at max. And I did not study anything because I was not able to study. First of all, I had some health issues which were pretty severe. So that's why I was not able to study much. And right after I was up and above those health issues, I was faced with my college level examinations, which were literally very, very difficult for me. The reason being, I am a COVID batch student, so we didn't study much in at our homes. So that's why it was very difficult for us to give offline examinations for the first time. And yeah, it was very difficult to juggle both the things. So I thought, ki, what is the purpose of appearing for cat and actually dedicating my time for cat if I'm not even able to cross the college level examinations and I'm having like 3 or 4 backs in my semester. So I dedicated my entire preparation to my college level studies. And yeah, in the last 4 months I was not able to study much. Coming back to the D-Day, so as I talked to all of you about giving mocks, that actually helped me a lot when it comes to the D-Day. It reduced my anxiety. Why? I literally thought I was going to appear for another mock. It was not very difficult for me to go in there and not be stressed. So I went in there and I thought ki this is another mock. I just do not have to think much about it. I just have to give my best and that's it. Rest is going to take care of it.
So that is very interesting, and I believe there is a very beautiful phrase that either you start well or you end well. So अगर आपने end में इतना preparation नहीं भी किया था, but you wrote a lot of mocks in the initial phase and you were very serious, and I believe that added in the final moments when you appeared for the cat. So ये बहुत important learning है कि अगर आप starting से strong areas में हो, and this is one of the things which I would like to highlight for all the cat aspirants, कि अगर आप initial level से थोड़ा serious हो जाते हो, ये नहीं सोचते यार हमारे पास 1 year, एंड यू पुट दैट एफर्ट इन द इनिशियल मंथ्स, तो आपके पास एंड में वो बफर टाइम होता है, चाहे वो आपके कॉलेज एग्जाम हो या फिर फॉर दैट मैटर अनफॉर्चुनेटली जैसे रुद्र ने बताया कुछ हेल्थ इश्यूज हो गए, या फिर आप वहां पे एक्स्ट्रा रिवीजन करके अपने आप को इंप्रूव कर सकते हो. तो नेवर वेस्ट योर टाइम, यू विल नॉट रियलाइज कि ये 1 year कब चला जाएगा, चाहे आप कैट 23 एस्पिरेंट हो या कैट 24 एस्पिरेंट हो. एंड दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू, राइट? Rudra, moving to the next question, I believe that your journey has been very interesting, and you have probably shared very beautiful insights which are going to add a lot of value for the cat aspirants. But coming to the final question, what is your advice to all your juniors who are going to write cat probably in 23 or 24? What would you like to approach? कैसे start करें and how to end that preparation with this golden score of 99 plus percentile?
Okay, so my biggest advice to you all would be you have to give mocks. Yeah, I know I sound repetitive right now. Like, why the hell is this guy just stuck on mocks? But trust me, what mocks will do to you is that, first of all, you'll realize what are the topics that are very important when it comes to the actual exam, because not all topics carry the equal weightage, right? So even if you are not able to study for the entire syllabus of cat, it is okay. If you are studying for like 50 or 60%, then still you can score a 99 percentile. Because I am that kind of a person. I did not study the entire syllabus of quants even. I skipped like PNC and probability, which is a big chunk, but it's yeah, the return on investment on that thing is not very high. So you can skip some topics, and this is something, this is an intuition which you will develop after you give mocks. For example, even in the individual topics like percentages, there is a certain type of question that is asked more when compared to the other type of question. So to build this kind of an intuition, you have to give a lot of mocks. Plus, what mocks will do to you is it is going to build your test taking instincts. For example, if you are giving mocks at odd times of the day, in across the spectrum of your emotions. For example, you're feeling angry, give a mock. You're feeling stressed, give a mock. Why? Because on the D-Day you do not know what your emotional state is going to be. Maybe you are just going to your center and somebody cut you off in traffic and you are really angry, and you are going in there with an angry mindset, and you haven't trained yourself to give your best when you're angry. Then you will not be able to perform as well. So that's why you have to give mocks across the range of your emotions, which is actually I did, by the way. Whenever I used to feel sad or somber, I used like, okay, I'll utilize this time by giving mocks. So this is something that I did. And also another thing, this is your uh, you should give mocks not only on your table, because that is the most comfortable area of your house for you, because that area instincts you, that area kind of tells you ki you have to study right now. What about the desk that you'll be assigned on the D-Day? That might be an unfamiliar territory for you. So that's why on my advice to you would be, go to the cafes, go to some cafes, go to a library, go to some different places from your natural environment and give some mocks over there. I did that, and that actually helped me. So for me, the approach is always very, very mock centric. Start with a mock, assess your assess your level with the mock, and then progress with the mock. And yeah, alongside, build your basics per the mocks, right? What are the topics that are being asked? What are the top topics that are very, very important, but you are not very comfortable with? What are the topics that are not very important and you are still very comfortable with it, or you are not comfortable with them? So you have to prioritize, and you have to make a hierarchy of the topics based upon their occurrence in the mocks or in the real examination, real past papers. So in that way, you have to prioritize your preparation. You have to optimize it, and you'll have to use Pareto's principle, 80-20 rule, even in this one, even in CAT preparation. So yeah, that'll be my advice to you all.
So Rudra, I will be adding one more question to this because we both are emphasizing to appear for a lot of mocks. So ऐसा भी कभी हुआ होगा that you have scored low, you have scored probably not your desired score. So how did you pump yourself up? Because बहुत बार ऐसा होता है, and this is a very natural feeling that you score, let's say 60 percentile in a mock, or let's say 70 percentile in a mock, and then you don't feel like appearing for a mock again because that demotivates you, that shatters you. You feel like यार मैंने इतना preparation किया and इसका तो कोई result ही नहीं है. So ऐसा situation आया आपके साथ भी?
Most definitely, sir. Most definitely. I have scored like in such a big range. It is actually 100% range. I have scored 1.63 percentile also. Yes, there is my actual score, and it was not like I slept on the keyboard. No, I actually tried to give my best, and I still ended up scoring 1.63 percentile in the section in which I scored the best, which is the ILR section. And I've also scored 99 percentile in that in mocks, but that is not very frequent. My most frequent percentile would oscillate between 20 to 95. That was my mock range. And it is so fluctuating. You cannot predict your next mock score. You will never be able to do that. And you cannot even comfortably say ki yaar 95 to aa jayega. That is not what you'll be able to do on the D-Day, because you do not know what your mindset is going to be. And for that, what my advice would be, ki do not think about your scores much, because that is something that you cannot control. But what you can control is your preparation level and your comfort with the topics that are asked frequently in the examination. So for that you'll have to give a lot of mocks, and you'll have to give a lot of mocks in different places with different emotions. I've already briefed upon that earlier. So yeah, don't worry about your mock scores, because it is going to fluctuate very much. And I have scored very, very low initially. I've scored in my 60s. I've scored in my 20s overall percentiles. In each and every section, I've scored as low as 20 percentile. And yeah, you should not worry about the test scores at all.
So this is a very very important insight for all of you कि यार जिसका भी 99 plus percentile आ रहा है ना, उसके साथ भी same phase आया है. मतलब they have also scored low, they have also had their ups and downs. But one thing what differentiates them from the rest of the others is that they chose to keep going. They did not give up, right? तो एक कैट टॉपर में बस यही डिफरेंस है कि उसके साथ भी वही फेजेस आ रहे हैं, बट उसको पता है ये फेजेस नॉर्मल है, ये होगा. वो 10 परसेंटाइल भी देखना है, वो 20 भी देखना है, बट स्कोर्स इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है. व्हाट इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट कि वो 20 क्यों आया है, कहां पे मेरा चैलेंज है, कहां पे मेरा क्वेश्चन गैप है. एंड इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट एंड इफ यू बिल्ड दैट काइंड ऑफ थॉट प्रोसेस, तो ऑटोमेटिकली आपको अपने स्कोर से फर्क ही नहीं पड़ेगा. आप अगर 99 किसी मॉक में आ रहा है तो आपको ओवर एक्साइटेड भी नहीं होना कि अब तो मुझे कुछ देना ही नहीं है, आई एम द बॉस. एंड अगर आपका कम भी आ रहा है तो भी इट्स ओके, राइट? बिकॉज मॉक इसीलिए तो दे रहे हैं ना हम, सो एज टू आइडेंटिफाई व्हाट आर आवर मिस्टेक, कहाँ पे हमें इंप्रूव करना है, एंड दैट इज व्हाट हैज बीन ब्यूटीफुली mentioned by Rudra as well. And I believe that mock centering approach is a very appropriate approach. And when you appear for a lot of mocks, you eventually develop and get accustomed to such kind of question which appear in the actual exam. So it was a lovely conversation with you, Rudra, and thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. I believe that the points you shared, probably, a lot of CAT students are going to take some key takeaways and they are going to implement in their preparation. And I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for discussing and sharing your experience with all these CAT aspirants.
Thank you so much, Saurabh sir. It was a pleasure and it was an honor to be here with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.